And again, sorry.
At this time, I'd like, the city of Plattsburgh is holding a public hearing to hear, public comment on proposed local law P1 of 2023, local law amending in its entirety, city code section 348-24, and setting water service rates and enacting regulations for levy and collection of water charges. Take a motion to open the public hearing. Motion by Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Bob, all in favor? Public hearing is now opened. Any persons intending to make comment at this public hearing regarding this specific local law? Seeing none, I will now take a motion to close the public hearing. Motion by Councilor Vaughn, second by Councilor Gibbs, all in favor? Public hearing closed. At this time, the city of Plattsburgh is holding a public hearing to hear public comments on proposed local law P2 of 2023, local law establishing and associated schedule of rates for sewer connections in the city of Plattsburgh. Local law amending and restating in its entirety chapter 278, article 7, section 48, subsection C of the city code of the city of Plattsburgh. I'll now take a motion to open the public hearing. Motion by Councilor Bob, second by Councilor Gibbs. All in favor? Public hearing is now open. Any persons intending to make a comment regarding this local law P2? Seeing none, I'll now entertain a motion to close public hearing. Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Vaughn, all in favor? Public hearing is closed. The city of Plattsburgh is now holding a public hearing to hear public comment on the city's intent to apply for Restore New York Communities Initiative Round 7 funding and administered by the Empire State Development Corporation, ESD. The city is considering Restore New York Round 7 funding to facilitate the demolition of a dilapidated municipal recreation building located at 23 Beach Road in the city of Plattsburgh, known as Great Civic Center. Motion, open public hearing. Motion by Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is now open. Is there anybody in the audience wishing to make comments regarding this public hearing?
I'm gonna go with voting because last week we discussed.
Okay.
Oh, maybe that more.
Councilor Moore.
I found a few, I thought incorrect things in our application, and I really feel that as a taxpayer in the city of New York, or in the state of New York, that we could, this money could be better spent in other places. I just want to comment on a couple of the items that are in the Restore New York Communities Initiative guidelines for this grant. It is anticipated upon completion of these projects funded by the Restore New York grants, I'm quoting from the grant. Grants will attract individuals, families, and industry and commercial enterprises to the municipality. I do not see where this is going to happen in any way, manner, shape, or form. This is my own personal opinion. Under this grant, it is further anticipated that the improved community and business climate will result in an increased tax base, which I do not see the tax rates increasing at all. Thereby, it's all public property. Improving municipal finances and with the wherewithal to further grow municipal tax and resource base, lessening its dependence on state aid. And I do not believe that this grant is doing it well. Trying to keep this brief. The criteria for storing in this grant, I don't see where any of these items apply either. Mostly in an investment zone, it's not. Mostly in a brownfield opportunity area. Or that will leverage other state and federal programs. I do not see that happening. Introduce commercial investment. I do not see any of that on the horizon. Nor it will improve local housing. These are the bullet points that were just put out for the granting of this money. Property assessment must be published in the daily newspaper, either in print or online for 3 consecutive days. Let me define property assessment list as defined by this grant. A property assessment list shall convene a list compiled by the municipality after it conducts an assessment of all vacant, abandoned, and surplus and condemned buildings which are in its jurisdiction. I do not remember seeing an assessment list. There are other properties in the city that require this way more. And that would put property back on the tax roll. Size and residential or commercial natures of each building, and whether the building is proposed to be demolished, deconstructed, rehabilitated, or reconstructed, has been published in the local daily newspaper for no less than 3 consecutive days. I did not see this list. That's just technicality, but I wanted to point it out. To me, the essence of this grant is to increase commercial development and get rid of blighted properties that would be then able to be put on the tax rolls. I do not see where this accomplishes any of the above, so in that regard, I'm not wanting to agree to do this because I think that it is not a good it is not a good presentation. Does not really follow the Restored New York Communities Initiative. Thank you.
Anyone else comment on this public hearing? Wait for the trailer. Thank you. I'll now entertain a motion to close public hearing. Motion by Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Bach. All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is not closed. At this time, I'd like to call the January 19th, 2023 regular meeting of the Common Council and City Plattsburgh to order. It is 5:10 p.m. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Sorry, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Will you please conduct a roll call?
Mayor Wilson,
Here.
Councilor Bond, here, Councilor Kelly,
Here.
Councilor Gibbs, here, Councilor Talon, here, Councilor Bob, here, Councilor Moore.
Here,
All councilors have received a copy of the minutes of January 5th, 2023 organizational meeting and regular meetings. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections, I'll now entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented. Motion by Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Bob. Any changes, deletions, alterations? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? I'll now recognize those in the audience who wish to share their thoughts and concerns with the council on any topic. Please come to the podium to be acknowledged, and when called upon, we please ask that you please state your legal name and address for the record. In accordance with the organizational rules of order, all speakers will be given 5 minutes to address the council.
Hi, thank you. Kurt Turbich, I live at 185 Greenwich. When's the clock start? I timed it out, it's exactly like
Good,
it.
go for it.
Correct. I'm one of the longest serving members of the City of Plattsburgh's Planning Board. I've served on that board since 2012. I also served on the Comprehensive Plan Development Committee, as well as the Waterfront Revitalization Planning Committee. I'm an environmental, urban, and regional planner, and I teach environmental planning, policy, and sustainability at SUNY Plattsburgh. And as part of my teaching, I led several engagement sessions on the comprehensive plan that you're voting on tonight for students and others at the college. I'm not here to speak on behalf of the Comprehensive Planning Committee or the Planning Board or SUNY. My thoughts and opinions are my own. I have two main points, but because I'm a professor, I have several really lengthy and complex subpoints and some sub-subpoints. I'm glad to see that the comprehensive plan is on the council's docket for approval tonight. Our prior comprehensive plan is outdated and we're badly in need of the guidance that this plan provides. Comprehensive plans are essential resources for a city that wants to evolve and remain relevant. And here are just a few of the reasons that a plan like this is important. A comprehensive plan provides a shared vision and aspiration for our community, a bit like a compass pointing us in the direction we want to go. You can only change what you can measure, and a comprehensive plan provides a benchmark for measuring progress towards our goals. A comprehensive plan is a roadmap that the Common Council and city boards like the Planning and Zoning Commission can use to make decisions. For example, when large-scale development plans come before the planning board that I sit on, it's essential for us to know whether or not the proposal fits with the city's vision. Without a plan, we're left to guess and rely on our personal preferences and biases. One of the first questions on the state's required environmental review process that the planning board must complete when approving development proposals is, does the proposal fit within a documented planning process, such as a comprehensive plan? Ever since I've been on the planning board, we've been answering by relying on the whole comprehensive plan. But because that plan is outdated, using it to guide our decisions feels hollow. A comprehensive plan also brings funding opportunities. When applying for grants as well as state and federal funds, being able to support a funding request with documentation of the proposal is based upon a deliberative planning process, like we went through when developing the comprehensive plan that we'll vote on tonight. It increases the chances of success. Funding agencies often won't grant funds when they don't see evidence the proposal has been developed through a comprehensive planning process. The second point that I hope to make today is that this comprehensive plan fits in well with the city's participation in New York State's Climate Smart Communities program. I also sit on that task force, which is led by Rochelle Armstrong and about a dozen other community volunteers. As you know, New York State's Climate Smart Community program encourages communities to adapt to the realities of climate change by reducing carbon emissions and investing in energy conservation and other sustainability initiatives, and it offers state funding for taking out those activities. I teach SUNY Plattsburgh's sustainability class, and this past semester, our class worked with the Climate Smart Community Task Force to conduct a crosswalk between action items in the Climate Smart Community program and the comprehensive plan that you're going to vote on. We compare the actions in the comp plan to those in the Climate Smart Community program. Imagine a large chart with the comprehensive planning activities on the side and the Climate Smart Community activities along the top. And in each of the boxes where those things intersect, we put a check mark when they align and explain their alignment. This is an important task because it can help prioritize actions that meet the goals of both projects and provide support for funding applications. Being able to show that a funding proposal meets multiple documented goals will earn more points when the city's proposals are reviewed. I want to give just a couple of highlights of our analysis. I hope that you see dollar signs, happy residents, and a thriving community in these examples. When it comes to infrastructure, many of the city's needs identified in the comp plan also meet Climate Smart Community goals. For example, upgrades for a water resource and recovery facility listed in the comp plan achieve the energy efficiency goals in the Climate Smart Community program. A major component of the comp plan is about housing. The city's goals in this section align with the smart land use actions of the Climate Smart Community program. And the third component of the comp plan is development of recreational assets, arts, and culture. The comp plan describes the importance of these elements in creating a sense of place and community among residents, and the Climate Smart Community program includes farmers markets, green space parks, climate resilient recreational facilities. There's money in these for sure, but it's also the route to a vibrant and thriving Plattsburgh. The analysis that my students conducted in partnership with the Climate Smart Community Task Force sits in the Community Development Office, and I hope that you'll use it when applying for funds and pass it to our grant writing team. In summary, I encourage you to adopt the comprehensive plan you're going to vote on tonight, and I hope that you'll use that tool that my students helped develop. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else who'd like to address the council with any topic?
Good evening. My name is Tom Hemingway. I work here in the city of Plattsburgh. I'm here to represent the taxi community here in the city. Y'all recently raised the taxi permits here in the city. And it's probably going to put us out of business here sooner or later. Uber and Lyft, I can't figure out why Uber and Lyft and these delivery taxis can come in our city and operate with no permits at will. And they're cutting into our business. I don't know what else to say, but you really put a hurt on us when you did that. By doubling our permits. The drivers pay for that out of our pocket. We're independent contractor. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, Tom. Now go to committee reports. Each standing committee is chaired by a counselor, and I'll call upon the chairperson of each committee, starting with the city operations council.
Well, our first meeting was on January 9th. We talked about our schedule on upcoming city events and it looks like it's gonna be a really good year and I'm excited to be chairman of the committee. And our next meeting is gonna be on the 13th of February.
Finance economic development, we did have our meeting last week. There was a number of items that are for consideration as well as the reports presented to council. City infrastructure council.
Our first meeting of the year is scheduled for February 13th at 5:30.
Public safety council. Bob.
We had our first meeting of the year this past Monday, January 17th. Mainly went over a lot of reports as we usually do, but we did authorize some travel requests or draft authorizing travel requests for the police department. And we did also draft authorize the contract agreement for nuisance animal and dog control, which I think is going to make a lot of residents very happy. Already getting good feedback about that. And we're also looking at reviving a capital project. So those are the resolutions that we have brought to the table for this meeting.
Thank you. We'll now move on the liaison reports, Plattsburgh Public Library Council.
I don't have anything to report at this moment, but we are meeting this Tuesday at the library and I will have a report after that.
Thank you. Plattsburgh Municipal Lighting Department Councilor Gibbs.
No reports.
Climate Smart Task Force Councilor Gibbs, Councilor Town.
Yeah, I have a number of things. We had our regularly scheduled meeting last night. And as an entire committee, we came to consensus that we would like Abby Muser Hair to replace Lori Ritzema, who resigned. So we just forward that information. to
Yeah,
her.
please, and then we'll add it to the next regular meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
We discussed our progress in our various working groups, and we had the opportunity to work with our new CSC regional coordinator, Carly Leary, who helped us identify some key components to focus on. And I know Rochelle has a meeting with you and she has other things that she would work on.
Thank you. Dean,
I'm
any,
sorry, Jennifer.
Oh, you said it.
Dean, any staff member reports? No, there are no special committee reports. I'll now report on the payroll of the various city departments approved by council for the city of Plattsburgh for the week ending January 11th, 2023 in the amount of $1 million.
There was something at the bottom of the reports, traffic order establishing traffic zone designation number.
I apologize. There was a traffic. Oh, you know what? Yeah, so with traffic orders, we do establish traffic orders as an announcement. So traffic order designation number 2023.1. That was provided.
Yeah.
That was provided to council. Yeah, typically we do provide council traffic order to council. I apologize for that. I'll now report on the payroll approved by various city departments of the city of Plattsburgh for the week ending January 11th, 2023, in the amount of $1,009,711.97. I'll also report the audit of claims, the bills audited by the common councils for the weeks ending January 13th, 2023, in the amount of $1,340,171.71. And January 20th, 2023, in the amount of $626,420.15. Before voting on the following resolutions, I'll note that the majority of these resolutions have been thoroughly discussed by the appropriate committees and department heads. We're now taking action on these items in large part due to the recommendations of those committees. Ms. Carly, will you please read the titles of the resolutions to be acted upon?
Item 7.15, adoption of local law P-1 of 2023, a local law amending in its entirety city code section 348-24, setting water service rates and enacting regulations for levy and collection of water charges.
Just a clarification, 7.5, I think you said 7.15, just. Motion. Counselor Gibbs, second by Counselor Kelly, discussion.
Yeah, I have a question, and it's gonna be the exact same question for the sewer, and that is, what is gonna be the percentage increase for ratepayers? For both water and the sewer?
On the usage rate, it's 1.95%.
On the water,
The water and
Water
sewer.
usage rate.
yes.
And I believe in my response, Counselor did ask the same question. I believe in my response, I provided that.
I didn't get a chance to.
It was a- Same thing, 1.95 increase.
So this is basically like our standard, like yearly increase, like,
I don't think we've increased this since when?
In a couple of years.
A couple of years,
Maybe
2019.
three.
So that's my understanding that the town increases theirs every year a little bit.
Okay.
Just I was thinking this is kind of big.
No, we haven't increased our water rates for several years now, so. Right, 2019, yes,
Early 2019.
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
And that report was also provided, that spreadsheet was also provided in response to the question.
Yeah, was there another thing? I know we have make payments to the need dam, we have money put aside for that. Was there a new one that there was this water distribution system? That
Right.
On the second page of this, or the third page of this, that ICP chart and median ICP chart, that's that was.
Okay, I thought it was-
No, here, this one. Counselor North, this one, the dam. Investment charge. That's the.
Okay, I thought I saw, not on this one, though, it's online, so there isn't any additional fee charge for the project that.
On the water, it's additional to the infrastructure investment charge for water.
that's what I-
distribution, second month.
Okay.
So the usage rate, which is your dollar per thousand, is being increased 1.95%, is 48 cents a month to the average user. On the IIC, which is to fund the distribution system upgrades, in particular, the asbestos cement pipe project we had. There's an IIC which escalates based on the size of your meter. So for the normal size meter, it's $3.75 a month. The next size up, it's $5.40, and that's like.
Okay,
That's
I just want to make sure that
That's
I read
a
that.
B dam, Westbrook, storage tank.
Very good, thanks.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Council Bond,
Yes.
Council Kelly,
Yeah.
Council Gibbs,
Yes.
Council Talon.
Yes.
Council Bob.
Yes.
Council Moore.
Yes.
Carried.
Item 7.6, adoption of local law P-2 of 2023, a local law establishing an associated schedule of rates for sewer connections in the city of Plattsburgh, a local law amending and restating in its entirety, chapter 278, article 7, section 48, subsection C of the city code of the city of Plattsburgh.
Motion. Counselor Gibbs, second by Counselor Kelly, discussion.
So I have the same question, John.
Same answer, same
Same answer.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Council Bond,
Yes.
Council Kelly,
Yeah.
Council Gibbs,
Yes.
Council Talon.
Yes.
Council Bob.
Yes.
Council Moore.
Yes.
Carried.
Item 7.7, authorizing award consulting services for the preliminary design of the Saranac River Trail Phase 3 bike and pedestrian pathway.
Motion by Counselor Gibbs, second by Counselor Bond, discussion. Roll call.
Council Bond,
Yes.
Council Kelly,
Yeah.
Council Gibbs,
Yes.
Council Talon.
Yes.
Council Bob.
Yes.
Council Moore.
Yes.
Carried.
Item 7.8, authorize acceptance of the draft 2022 comprehensive plan update.
Motion, Counselor, I'm sorry, I can see you. Sorry, Counselor Gibbs, second by Counselor Bob, discussion. Roll call.
Council Bond,
Yes.
Council Kelly,
Yeah.
Council Gibbs,
Yes.
Council Talon.
Yes.
Council Bob.
Yes.
Council Moore.
Yes.
Carried.
Item 7.9, authorize acceptance of the draft LWRP update.
Motion by Counselor Bob, second by Counselor Gibbs, discussion. Roll call.
Council Bond,
Yes.
Council Kelly,
Yeah.
Council Gibbs,
Yes.
Council Talon.
Yes.
Council Bob.
Yes.
Council Moore.
Yes.
Carried.
Item 7.10, authorizing acceptance of the draft zoning update in association with the LWRP update.
Motion by Counselor Bob, second by Counselor Bond, discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Bond,
Yes.
Counselor Kelly,
Yes.
Counselor Gibb,
Yes.
Counselor Talon. Yes. Counselor Bob.
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
yes,
Carried.
Item 7.11, authorized budget adjustment, increase 2023 general economic development contract services, zoning code updates.
Oh, I'm sorry, motion by Counselor Bob, second by Counselor Kelly, discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Bond,
Yes.
Counselor Kelly,
Yes.
Counselor Gibb,
Yes.
Counselor Talon. Yes. Counselor Bob.
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
yes,
Carried.
Item 7.12, approving construction contract award for Riverwalk portion of downtown area improvement project.
Motion, Counselor Gibb, second, Counselor Bob, discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Bond,
Yes.
Counselor Kelly,
Yes.
Counselor Gibb,
Yes.
Counselor Talon. Yes. Counselor Bob.
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
yes,
Carried.
Item 7.13, authorize city hall roof pre-renovation asbestos inspection services agreement.
Motion by Counselor Bob, second. Counselor Bond, discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Bond,
Yes.
Counselor Kelly,
Yes.
Counselor Gibb,
Yes.
Counselor Talon. Yes. Counselor Bob.
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
yes,
Carried.
Item 7.14, authorize change order number 5, CT Mail Associates Agreement, Durkey Lot Site Management Plan, periodic review report.
Motion. Counselor Bob, second by Counselor Gibbs, discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Bond,
Yes.
Counselor Kelly,
Yes.
Counselor Gibb,
Yes.
Counselor Talon. Yes. Counselor Bob.
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
yes,
Carried.
Item 7.15, Restore New York grant application approval for Crate Center demolition.
Motion by Counselor Bob, second. Counselor Kelly, discussion.
Yes, I have a number of questions. This resolution came before us on the finance meeting and, it struck me that we have absolutely no documentation for this resolution. We have the resolution itself, but we have no documentation. So I did some digging and I found the ground for the grant application and, read through it. So there is an intent to apply deadline of November 30th, 2022, which means it was applied for in November, Matt?
No, that was round 6 of the Restore New York program. The application round that we are intending to apply for pending the council's approval is round 7. The deadline for submittal of those applications is January 27th.
No, that's what I was saying. There, according to this grant, is an intent to apply application deadline. The intent to apply deadline of November 30th, 2022. So in order to apply for the grant, you had to. submit
Yes, there
that.
was a notice of intent form that was submitted to the state, to Empire State Development, to determine whether, on a preliminary basis, the proposed project would be applicable to the program in question.
Okay, so we didn't know that, and we didn't have any information. And I read through this document that I found, and I had a number of questions. In section 1 of intent to apply, it says in the section below, provide a brief project description that includes how the project meets Restore New York goals, e.g. that the project will demolish or deconstruct and or rehabilitate, reconstruct vacant, abandoned, surplus, and or condemned residential, commercial, and or mixed-use buildings. Does the Crate building qualify as one of these projects? I know that the intent is for demolition. Did it qualify for rehab reconstruction? Do you know?
We did receive a response from Empire State Development affirming that the project did apply to the program guidelines as outlined. It's not to say that it's a guarantee that it will be funded, but in their preliminary opinion, the project as presented to them does align with the goals of the program.
Okay, but the project that you submitted was only for demolition.
Correct.
Okay, but what I'm asking is there were other things that this grant could have been applicable to.
Correct.
Okay, so under section 2 of the grant, it says, this program for the sole purpose of revitalizing urban and rural areas, disadvantaged communities and stabilizing neighborhoods. It goes on to talk about possible proposals for projects to demolish, exactly what it said, demolish, deconstruct, rehabilitate, and or reconstruct vacant, abandoned, condemned, and or surplus properties. Site development needs related to the project, including but not limited to large scale parking. Rehabilitation of government buildings, properties for governmental purpose is not eligible. That's pretty clear there, but it says there's a 10% match. So how much is that going to be for this project that is being proposed?
If we submit for the full amount of the demolition construction contract, that's $384,000. So the city's share of that would be $38,400.
Okay, Under section 4 for funding proposal instructions. Actually, no, I'm not interested in that. Under section 5, this was interesting to me, which is there was an opportunity to apply for other things, applicant funding and project limits. According to this document, all other municipalities that are not cities of 100,000 or between 40 and 99,000 are eligible for $2 million. And it also states that Empire State Development may grant a limited number of special awards. Municipalities with populations of 100,000 or less and counties with populations of 400,000 or less may apply for an additional $10 million to put toward a second separate project or toward part of a larger project in addition to the funding limits listed above. The project must meet the definition of a special project that's defined in section 7, which would have given us the eligibility to apply for up to $10 million for a project. And when I went to section 7 and I looked for the definitions of eligible things, it says project type, rehabilitation, shall mean structural repairs, mechanical systems repair or replacement, repairs related to deferred maintenance, emergency repairs, energy efficiency upgrades, accessibility improvements, mitigation of lead-based hazards and other repairs that result in a significant improvement to the property, provided, however, that to the extent possible, such rehabilitation shall be architecturally consistent with nearby and adjacent properties or done in a manner consistent with local revitalization or urban development plan, and for reconstruction shall mean the construction of a new building, which is similar in architectural style and so forth. So I can only conclude that there were other options besides demolition for the property, that the intent to apply submitted November 30th, 2022 is before the demolition vote of December 15th. And that it would appear to me, we had an opportunity to apply for grant funding to either restore or rehabilitate the building. And that information was never shared with council. And I wanted that to be made known.
Counselor Gibbs, I admire your ability to research things and go back in the record and see what you can find. But the truth of the matter is that on December 15th, we voted to demolish this building. And we immediately went into the process of finding a contractor to do that for us. And Mr. Miller informed us, I believe, last week that that contract is signed and was on his desk. And I think Mr. Schneller informed us that it wouldn't be a good idea to try to go back on that, that it would end up costing the city a lot of money and a lot of reputation, which may be more valuable than you know, reneging on a contract. But I guess we started talking about this in July of last year, and we had literally, you know, roughly 6 months to come up with a plan. You know, why can't the freight be something else, I guess, was the question. Why can't it be a different type of place? And, you know, the truth of the matter is, I don't believe anybody can come up with a plan in 6 months or even a year. And I say that because we had 4 administrations, 4 mayors, more than 4 councils over the years, try to make it go with the crate. And it just never succeeded. So the fact that we couldn't come up with anything, you know, in 6 months is not surprising, but I wouldn't expect any other outcome. We did have plenty of time to do that had we chosen to. And I think, you know, voting for this application is not voting to tear down the crate. That's already been done. It's already been decided. The ink is dry on the contract, so there's really no need to discuss that any further. But if someone, like in July when we first started talking about this, and I think give credit to Mayor Rosenquist, he's talked about it for his entire term in office practically. But, if someone had come up with some kind of plan, here's what we can do to save the creek. I would listen very, diligently. But the truth of the matter is, nobody could really come up with that plan. And, if we look back on history, the best thing that could have happened was to not demolish, but to fix the facilities when the refrigeration stopped working on the ice cream. That would have been the time to save the building. And that wasn't done. And that's nobody's fault. If anybody here, it was a lack of foresight, I guess you could call it, on the part of whoever was in charge of the city at that time. They tried and tried and tried over those 15 years to make it into something else, and it just never quite succeeded. Nobody was willing to put the money into it. So it's now, in my estimation, and I'm not an expert by any means, but my estimation, it's beyond repair. And it also speaks to this about our city. I look at it as we're right sizing our city. We are a small city of 19,000 people, and we just can't sustain a civic center like that. And we tried, but what we're doing is we're right sizing our city. This is not the first demolition that's taken place in our city. There have been several. So to me, it's an appropriate thing to do, to say that, well, we realize we can't operate this facility, and let's move on to the next thing we try to do. Which I think the next thing, of course, is the parks and recreation part of it. Can't wait to see what happens with those neighborhood parks. But that's it. You're not voting to demolish the crate here. You're voting to fund the demolition. And if you can find your way clear to vote, to have a yes on this vote, then you'll be doing the city a favor. You'll be upping our ante by $384,000, and that's not insignificant.
There is no documentation for us to know what the application looks like, scope of work. We don't know anything except the resolution. I'm not voting for that.
The mayor suggested.
Well, can I make a commentary here?
Not quite. If you allow me to finish, then the next person, of course.
And Councilor Bob had her hand raised as well, so please let's maintain order, please.
The mayor told us a few weeks ago that we were approached by ESD. They didn't say to us, here's $384,000 to do whatever you want with it. Here's $384,000 to demolish the creek. That's what it's earmarked for. Now, if we don't apply for this grant, we'll be a bunch of buffoons, honestly. I will say to you that ESD is the same fund or the same funding source that funded the DRI. And some of you might recall that they weren't always very happy with the city of Plattsburgh and that handling for that grant. There's no fault of our own. But I don't want to lose a possible funding opportunity for future work here in the city. That I've heard Councilor Gill say many times, you can't turn down a grant because that means you might not get one next time. So here's your opportunity, Councilor Gill, to accept a grant and go forward with it and see if we get the $384,000. We were invited to do it, so I'm guessing the chances are pretty good we'll get the grant. But we just have to see.
Councilor Bob.
Yeah, so the point that I was originally going to make was just to kind of piggyback off of what Mike just said, which is that we were approached about using this grant in this way. They didn't approach us about using it to restore. They approached us about demolishing it. And that was what they put on the table. And I think there's very good reason for that. Again, this is a divided issue, but there are many of us who feel that the building is beyond repair. And even if $10 million were in front of us, that would not be the best use for it. I continue to maintain that. And in response to some of Jeff's comments during the public comment section, I just wanted to throw out there that again, we were approached about this, and ultimately it's up to the reviewers to decide if we qualify or not. It never hurts to apply. You can apply for things that you aren't sure if you meet every criteria and leave it up to them to determine. That's their job. So that's basically all I have to say on this for now.
Council Moore.
Well, I promise to be 100% more brief, but I do want to mention. It's a tale of two cities. You take Saranac Lake, they got $5 million, they have a completely refurbished rec center. They actually added on to it, they got $5 million from the state, now they have a beautiful facility, 4,800 people. I don't believe that it was beyond our scope to be able to restore that building. I look at other places, communities in our county, I look at Rouse's Point as a community center, and I believe their population is only around 2,500 people. So something as important as that to our community, I believe we should have looked into that. A 50-year-old building was not old, that building was structurally sound, it just needed to be fixed up. Now, I'm not saying, to go back on this, but we've never looked at rebuilding that facility. We just ignored that possibility entirely. And that's a shame. Shame on the people who owe it for that. I'm not for that at all. And I don't think that it makes something right that we could get a grant to pay for a bad decision, makes it a good decision. It was a bad decision to demolish that building, and that's how I feel. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well,
Councilor Talon.
it hasn't been a good decision to keep that building in the city's hands. So, like, if anybody else would have wanted to take it over, I would have been fully in support of that rather than demolishing it. But at Thursday's finance, we found out that the contracts were indeed signed, so that means that the plan is in motion. So, just we can't really go back on that without a huge lawsuit, which is probably going to be more than the cost of demolishing the building. So, it does make sense to apply for the grant to take care of demolition, if the demolition is 100% going to happen. So basically voting yes on this is just voting yes on applying for this grant. It's not necessarily voting yes on demolishing the Create Center, and that vote has already been taken. And for the record, I voted no on that, and the Councilor Moran, the Councilor Gibbs. But if we would be able to use the money that we had earmarked from the ARPA piece for something else, if we were to get the grant, it's not 100% guaranteed we're going to get the grant, but if we did get the grant, then those ARPA funds could go to other things in our city. And that's, I think, what, a lot of people are feeling positive about here. And if it's a 10% city share for the grant, then, some of the ARPA funds could take care of that. And then, you don't have to worry about where the money is going to come from because it's there. So,
I'm sorry.
so that's why I took some time to think about this, and now it's making more sense to me to at least apply for this grant.
Councilor Bond, I'm gonna give you an opportunity if you want to chime in. You're the only one who hasn't spoken so far, so if not.
Well, I mean, after the
you're not
finance
obligated.
meeting, I felt like I was a little put off. Because I'm wasn't asking for special consideration, special anything. And I didn't know enough about this. But I too did an enormous amount of research. I went into all of the council meetings that discussed this, so I could be familiarized. And I have never publicly said yes or no, or what I feel like doing, or what I think we should do. I didn't get the opportunity to vote on the demolition. So no one knows how I felt about that. You want to know how I felt? I would have voted no. And it's about time, I guess, that I say it. And it rattles me a little, I guess, that so many of the points in that contract for that grant, the dates just don't jive with me, but I don't know enough to know why they don't jive, why they weren't brought forward. And then like Jeff said, that they should have been put in the paper 3 times. It wasn't, I don't understand that part of it. So with that being said, I mean, we'll see what happens when the vote comes around, that's.
Final thoughts? Anyone? Councilor Coe?
Well, just a final
Well, let's make a
question.
question. Everyone has had a lengthy chance to speak.
Call question.
Who's gonna administer this grant? If it is
The city typically would. It's the city typically, yes.
Okay, it will be outsourced to anyone.
No, I don't believe so, or.
No, we manage it internally. Mayor, could I just respond to one of the questions that Councilor Vaughn had about the timeline?
Yes.
The November 20th submission of the intent to apply for the Restore New York program. Yes, the council did not authorize approval of the demolition contract until December 15th. But several months prior to that, the council had approved a separate contract for a consultant to do a write up a bid specification for the demolition itself and to manage the bid process for the demolition. So several months prior to the final December 15th vote, the council had expressed its initial wish to move towards to see what the cost of the demolition would be. For most grants, to have a shovel-ready project is far preferable to have something that is still conceptual and still several months or years in the future. So when November came and we had this opportunity to apply, at least preliminarily for this grant, we already had an endorsement from the council that they wish to explore the demolition option. So that being the option on the table and not renovation, and Restore New York being used quite often for demolition expenses, that's the reason we decided to apply for the grant.
Maybe not apply for the grant, but certainly submit some type of letter.
Submit our intent to see if we could, yeah.
Exploration to apply for the grant.
I just have one fundamental answer or question. Was it, or how come it didn't, we did not look into redoing the building, rehabilitating it, restoring it? Was it ever overly discussed the way this demolition has been? I mean, the demolition seems to be focused on that and no one really focused on restoring.
I can answer that question. In 2016, there was a study done to determine what it would cost to repair the building and also to demolish it. So that was done back in 2016, and you can go back and read that for yourself, Julie, if you want to. They laid out in great detail what are the deficiencies in the building were and what it would cost to repair it. The estimate to repair by the engineering firm that did it was, I believe, $4 million, if I remember correctly, and that was in 2016 dollars. So that would be, you know, maybe closer to $500,000, or I'm sorry, $5 million to rebuild it today.
Yeah, roll call question. Roll call.
Counselor Bond,
No.
Counselor Kelly,
Yes.
Counselor Gibb,
No.
Counselor Talon, yes. Counselor Bob,
Yes.
Counselor Moore,
No,
Mayor.
Yes, please. Carrie.
Item 7.16, authorized budget adjustment increase 2023 general state aid and economic development contract services.
Motion by Councilor Gibbs, second. Councilor Vaughn, discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Bond,
Yes.
Counselor Kelly,
Yes.
Counselor Gibb,
Yes.
Counselor Talon, yes. Counselor Bob,
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
yes,
Carried.
Item 7.17, authorizing 2023 retainer agreement with Stafford Owens, Renee, Kelleher, Miller, Meyer, and Zedek LLC.
Motion by Councilor Bob, second. Councilor Kelly, discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Bond,
Yes.
Counselor Kelly,
Yeah.
Counselor Gibb,
Yes.
Counselor Talon, Counselor Bob,
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
yes,
Carried.
Item 7.18, authorized travel requests.
Motion by Councilor Kelly, second. Councilor Bob, discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Bond,
Yes.
Counselor Kelly,
Yeah.
Counselor Gibb,
Yes.
Counselor Talon, yes. Counselor Bob,
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
yes,
Carried.
Item 7.19, authorizing revising capital project H5110.78 2021 public service building.
Motion. Counselor Bob, second. Counselor Kelly, discussion.
Yeah, I just had one question on this. I know the revision is because they ran into, I got to see it every day. So,
Yeah,
you know, they ran into a foundation or
Yes.
some extra problem. I really would have appreciated knowing about that at the time. I noticed there was a lot more work than usual on a apron like that.
Yeah.
But just would like a heads up that at a meeting, something like that happens, I don't have a big issue with it, other than I knew something was unusual when I saw a wall.
Yeah.
They done.
And I don't know if that was reported back in public safety. I'll have to go back and check the record. But I don't remember whether we talked about that or not, so. All right, any further discussion, but to your note, Councilor Moore, yes, I agree. Okay, so when that does come up, we will make sure. to come to it. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Vaughn,
Yes.
Counselor Kelly,
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs,
Yes.
Counselor Talon. Yes. Counselor Bob,
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
Yes,
Carried.
Item 7.20, authorized contract agreement, nuisance animal and dog control.
Motion by Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Bob, discussion.
Yeah, I do have a question about that. I know that we said in our discussion at public safety
Yes.
that this didn't, you know, that nuisance animals did not apply to cats.
Correct.
And I thought that that language was in the contract, which I did tell somebody, and then it's not.
It's not, however, in the conversation, if you recall, that we had, Chief York noted that cats are not included in this person's scope of work. So,
Yeah, but it was interesting because that's also not noted in scope of work. They just use the term domestic animal and they don't
Yes.
clarify. So I just didn't know if there was anything we could do to make sure so that,
Yeah,
But
you can make a motion to amend it.
yeah.
I think if you make a motion to amend it, then you will also catch up dogs in that, and that's the whole point of the contract.
If I made a motion to amend it to specify that it doesn't mean cat.
or not.
Well, he does, no, he does, it is dog control
Yeah.
and nuisance.
Dog control.
Oh, okay.
So he is
Well,
not-
the capture not a nuisance animal. I guess.
Right,
But it doesn't say it specifically, is that what you're saying, Caitlin?
right. So I believe that on the NYDEC, the definition of nuisance animals, cats are not included in that. So that's part, you know, we do have here that it does say, you know, nuisance species listed by NYDEC. But like I said, some people have raised concerns about the fact that it didn't specify cats.
And in here, yeah, but based on that language and based on New York State DEC rules and regulations, it's inherent that it does not include cats. Now, if you want to explicitly include that in here, it's kind of, we're doing this doubly, but I mean, like one way or the other, it is going to be covered.
I'd like to make the motion to include that language, because
Okay.
I think it's good for
Motion.
there's people.
Okay, motion to amend the contract as stated by Councilor Rob.
I'll second that.
Second by Councilor Gibbs, all in favor on the amended contract language, I say aye. Thank you, all, any opposed, carried. Call the question, the amended motion, call the question, amended motion. All in favor,
Aye.
any opposed? Aye. One way or the other.
I know that the back of the pet owners. It's good to.
Carried,
Item 7.21, mayoral appointments.
motion, Councilor Gibbs, second, Councilor Bob, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. No need for executive session. One moment. No need for executive session. Any new business coming for this council? Seeing none, I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn. Councilor, second by Councilor Vaughn. All in favor?
Aye.